Hi guys, how are you? Shian Matt here again today with our third episode of Inside the Ring. Now, no doubt you can guess where we've got the name. I asked Jordan, and it makes it pretty obvious. We're here inside the ring. So I wanted to get you in here for an interview today because I know that from a lot of our members' perspective, you're a pretty intriguing character. So, you know, from our point of view, somebody who is a completely different type of martial artist to come and try and train with us is, I mean, it's not a foreign thing, that's for sure, but it's a brave thing to do. So basically, I just want to cover those areas, and we'll discuss your journey and how you've evolved. And where you see yourself and where you see martial arts in the future. So, firstly, just tell us a bit about yourself. How old were you when you first started, and where?
Okay. I was 7, so 1999.
Yep.
I walked into the dojo for the first time. It was a Lumpur Pai Fair Hills dojo. It was a Friday night class, which my parents didn't love because they had a social life and stuff. But I was pretty much captured right away.
Yeah. Who was your teacher there?
It was a family of teachers. So there was it was the Campbell family. I think there was 4 or 5 of them all teaching. There was a lot of black belts there, a lot of good strong black belts as well, which was like, yeah. And Lumpur Pai, when you see Lumpur Pai, the top end of Lumpur Pai, especially if you just walk in, it's pretty impressive of what people can sort of do. And my young mind, it sort of captured me straight away.
I could only imagine.
I was really keen. And then I trained there for a few years on the Friday night class, just once a week. And then I wanted to go to a second day. I had never met Kancho Terry yet.
So you'd been training on the Friday night with the Campbell family.
Yep.
Sorry, whereabouts was that?
Fair Hills.
So
Hills. That's in
Where's
Knox.
Fair Hills? In Knox?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were from that area.
I grew up in Wheelers Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so I hadn't met Kancho yet. I think I'd seen him once. He'd come through for a short ungrading.
Yeah.
But, you know,
back then he would have had black hair.
He did have black hair, and he's a big deal. Same as he is now.
Yeah.
You know, in Lumpur Pai, if you're a white belt, especially if you're like a child, and you see him, it's not that he is not an approachable person, but I don't know if you've seen him in that environment. He gets mobbed by people all the time, and you know, back then was no different. He's a pretty magnetic sort of character. So it's hard, you know, I think when you see him just at a grading and it's busy already and stuff like that, you don't really get to meet him and stuff like that. But I was lucky that he was teaching a Saturday morning class in Listerfield, and my dad inquired to who was sort of like his right-hand man at the time, that's by Hans ten Buck de Boer, who passed away in 2007, I believe. And he was cross-training at both. So Hans told my dad, I'll bring him down to Saturday morning class. And then I sort of got to meet Kancho, and then, you know, from dojo to dojo, just like I'm sure in Shorin Kempo, there's a new culture every single dojo.
Oh, absolutely.
So, it's a completely different thing. So, and I was there I'm referring to Listerville dojo, and then training there Wednesdays and Saturdays. I graded to my junior short in 2005. Eligible to grade to your senior short on.
Yeah.
So it's broken up into those 3.
And there's a difference in the belt too. There's like the belt.
There's a stripe. There's stripes on the end. Yeah. So we do have a black belt with a white stripe. That's usually like a transferred black belt.
Oh, right, okay. Because I remember one of your guys, Trevor.
Yes,
he had a black belt with a white stripe on it.
So
did he?
What happened with him was he graded to his mascot short on.
Yeah.
Then took 20 years off. Okay.
As you do sometimes.
Sometimes you take 20 years off.
Life gets in the way.
Trevor's a crazy sort of situation because he took 20 years off and then he came back to training 6 days a week.
Yeah.
So like I took 3 years off.
Came back.
Yeah. And he's a soldier. Yeah. He really is. He and along with Emma, Trevor is one of the people that runs our club. You know, he's a fantastic, and also he's one of those guys where you sort of point him in direction, you say, I want you to fight here and now. And then he goes, yeah, great. Yeah. And then sometimes he wins when he probably shouldn't. He's more will over skill sometimes. He's getting there now because obviously if you work hard like he does and you're constantly working at it, it's impossible not to get good.
I remember having a conversation with him. This was during your third Dan grading, which we'll get to later, but there was the conversation with him about grading to Shodan.
Yeah.
And, well, why don't you let me come and do the same
Yeah.
thing that I've done for Sensei Jack? And he was like, absolutely no way.
Yeah.
No way.
And we did put him through it,
Yeah.
but yeah, it probably that's coming for him.
But then
definitely,
it was a case of that then all of a sudden he stepped foot in here, and then all of a sudden he was fighting in our tournament. So there was that progression from what was perceived to be something very, very difficult to something, yes, I can do this, to oh yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
And I guess what that boils down to is follow the leader.
Yes, I can relate to that path, definitely. With that, I remember when I came here for the first time, I didn't come here for me.
Can't come for Emma.
Emma.
Yeah.
So, and Emma, like for
So
me,
let's
following
tell
the
that
leader.
story. Let's tell that story.
So I guess we have to start with Emma. Emma is a unbelievable competitor, super talented.
Yeah. And I guess that's regardless of what it is that she's doing, whether it's point fighting, kata, full contact.
It doesn't make any sense because it's
tenacity.
yeah. So she's, I guess she, I would say her mindset's one of the things that sort of, when she steps in the ring, she's not there to survive. She's not there to lose. She's only there to win and, the outcome, whatever. Yeah. But she's got a great mindset for competition. So for me, when we talk about follow leader, really at the start, I followed her around. I was lucky enough to have such a talented person in my dojo, and I had a analytical enough brain to sort of, we could navigate through what we were doing, not like we do now, but but I was very, very lucky to be able to have someone to coach like her. That's but I definitely didn't make her like that. She sort of came to me already. Like so Emma's my sister-in-law. For people who don't know a bit of background, so we were part of the WKO. I think we joined the year before. We went to Thailand. Kancho met Sifa Kancho, and then hit it off. And
that was before we met.
That was before we met. Yeah.
I think you guys had just had a chance trip in Pattaya.
Yeah.
And thought let's go and meet the guy.
Yeah.
And then you did.
It was, and then Kancho already knew a few people in WKO in Victoria, but we didn't it wasn't our thing. Not at all our thing. But I'm very fortunate to have a master who's open-minded enough to give things a try, and if he sees it as an opportunity for his students, then he's on board. But Emma, being that competitor that she was, and she'd already fought in a few Kyokushin tournaments, she did well, but she wasn't like she was now. It doesn't matter how good of a competitor you are, if you do point sparring and non-contact stuff your whole life, and then you jump into that full contact ring, there's a bit of a teething. There's a bit of a team sort of process. So we went to Shianino's tournament in Lara. That was the Junior All Japan qualifier.
Yes. It was kind of like our state championships at the time, and yeah.
We used it as a selection tournament, yeah. And Emma knocked her up right now with a head kick. Pretty convincing. She'd started to come into what she would sort of become. And that was where we sort of... But with that goes, I remember you were talking about it with Sensei John yesterday. You can be a big fish in a small pond in Australia, but there's a big pond.
Very, very big pond.
Japan. So obviously some drastic actions had to be made. And I think we were doing all right, but we were still trying to fit that mould, which is you don't have to do in full contact karate. Because when you come from a point sparring background, as well as I do, there's kind of a blueprint of the best in the world.
Exactly right.
There's a mould.
There's a mould that you've got to fit. If you don't fit that mould, then basically you can't go any further than where it is that you're at. And I think that's a really disappointing part about it, that it leaves 90% of people out of that pocket, and the rest of us become amateurs. So what it creates is an almost elitist group versus everybody else, and then all those politics start to play as well. And as unfortunate as it is, but I guess the difference, as we both well know, is that the difference with, especially with what WKO do, with their full contact, is it fits every body type. And I think
and you
Sipa's
can play to
been
your strengths.
very, very smart, because he's trained world champion boxers, kickboxers, Muay Thai fighters, K1, karate, you name it. He's created UFC has created champions in every discipline there is. So he was able to sort of take the best of everything and get rid of the nonsense and make something that was adaptable to big blokes like us and small guys as well. And even guys like Rog, who, you know...
Exactly, because it's whatever works.
Yeah, Rog is not known for his high kicks.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rog, it's the truth. But he's a devastating fighter.
Yeah.
He still is.
And that's what it comes down to. So that's, for me, I always felt like point sparring, and I was still competing, but I felt like it was a party that I wasn't really invited to because I didn't fit that mold. It just wasn't really me. Emma did fit the mold.
Yeah.
She's and she's the kind of, much like Jordan, they'll fit any mold you put them into.
Yeah.
They're adaptable to any situation.
I suppose there's sort of people that we could create the knitting world championships, and they'd both be qualified.
It's insane. Yeah, it's not fair. Yeah, sometimes life isn't fair. So with that, there was a meeting, and I remember you sort of extended that invitation. You know, say, "Oh, you guys are in Berwick, we're in Cranbourne. Why don't you come down to the dojo?" So the first night I came in and I watched, and I was like, "This is something else. This is something different." Mind you, I'm already a neater at this point. So at the end, after training and stuff like that,
Did you watch the first night? Or
I did. I watched the first night.
Yeah, because Emma was here the first night.
Emma was here.
And I did pads with her for the first time.
Yeah.
And I think within about 5 minutes, she was in tears.
Because it's the difference in the intensity.
Yeah.
That this dojo in there, will test you. I think sometimes when you first jump in, Emma trained hard before that, but and she adapted to this place like crazy, quick. But there was a whole new level of intensity we weren't used to, and that's a bit of a shock to the system. So at the end of that class, I approached you and I said, where do I sign up? And you did probably the most admirable thing that any instructor can do, and you said,
that's part of our conversation,
you ask Kancho if it's cool with him, but otherwise no deal.
Yeah.
Which is and I'm lucky enough to have a master who's open mind. And because a lot of people wouldn't do that. A lot of senseis, shians, kanchos don't have the confidence that they, the loyalty that the students go, that goes back and forth to be like, go try a bunch of other stuff and then figure it out. See if you, and that's one of the things that, that obviously that's a turning point for me. The next turning point was the next week. I wasn't that nervous coming into the first week here because I didn't really know what I was coming to, but I remember we did 1,000 kicks on the bag. Yeah. And 1,000 kicks on the bag in here is not making up 1,000 kicks. It's 1,000 of your best kicks, You're not doing it to make the numbers up. You're doing it to get better, to push it. That was rough. That was pretty rough. But it's, I got through. Yeah. There's no, there wasn't a stage where I didn't think I would get through, but that's a tough night. From then, I got a little nervous coming to class every week. It wasn't the beatings that I was getting. I sort of expected those beatings. I think you swept me a fair few times. I made friends with the mats in there a few times. And I don't know if you realise that people, when I get swept, it makes a big noise.
It does. Yeah.
People in the church over there could feel it, I would say. It's, but I think the months after that, there was that little bit of nerves coming in here. It's never...
I know that feeling well. I know that feeling well. I remember sitting in my hotel in Thailand, an hour before class, just thinking, I just don't want to go.
Yeah.
I just don't want to go, but I've got to do it.
And that feeling of like nerves and stuff like that, that's what that's like your growing pain.
That's it.
Spiritually, that's
exactly
like like your mentality. If you're not nervous about stuff and the things you're doing aren't scaring you just a little bit, like now I try and capture that myself. I'll write a workout on the board in my gym at home. And I'm like, That's really hanging over my head. I try and do that for myself because I know that mentality is what you sort of need to be moving forward.
Well, exactly right, and that's being your own coach too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, and I've touched on that with our students a lot. Being able to have the confidence to say, be accountable.
Yeah.
And and I think that's a really important point. Let's go back in time just a little bit to the first time that I met you. Do you remember that day?
Where were we?
It was a meeting.
Okay,
in the
yeah, I
Docklands.
remember. Yeah.
It was a WKO heads meeting, and it was supposed to be only, all the masters, and it wasn't a very healthy environment at that particular point in time. And
It hasn't always
Terry's
been.
first meeting with the WKO as well here in Australia, the way things were structured then. And I remember Cuncho Terry's walked in, and of course, all the fifth dans and fourth dans, like myself, had got up, and the sixth dans greeted. And then you walked in, and I was already sort of in that frame of mind that I was surrounded by, like, what the bloody hell is a junior ranked who is doing here?
Yeah.
This is supposed to be, a privileged meeting, and in walks this guy with this tattoo on his neck, and who the bloody hell is he? And I remember you being really, really, obviously it was a nerve-wracking moment, and I think you were there with your father-in-law as well.
Yeah.
And he was just in the background saying, I'm just the driver.
Yeah.
And Terry, of course, sat down. We sort of got the meeting started. I wasn't in a very good mood that day. But there was there was something about you. I couldn't explain it at the time. And then I remember after that, I think it was some tournament that we went to. I can't exactly remember. Maybe you can recollect. See, if I had Jordan beside me here, I'd be pressing my hard drive right now to retrieve all the information that we met. And I think it was either our fighters were facing some of your fighters, or you were part of the same tournament. And you could clearly see that what we were doing was quite good, and you wanted to get involved. And that's I can't exactly remember that day, but it may well have been the tournament in Geelong.
Yeah, I reckon. See, I think I came to a Station Cup before I knew you.
Right.
Because I think Emma fought in the Station Cup before that. Yeah.
Yes.
No, she didn't fight. She was really sick. She just got out of hospital.
Came to watch.
Yeah, she did Carter. I think she might have done Carter.
Okay.
So because Emma's a good fighter, and it's not fair that her Carter's that good as well. So yeah.
She keeps her gi pants short for a reason.
Yeah, that's a sure sign. It's but yeah, I think so. She came to that, but and you know what? It wasn't really even on our radar. We were just there for we did Carter, and then we watched a few matches and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think when you first come to a full contact tournament, as an instructor, the thing you look at is the kids.
Yep.
The little kids, because you're like, how can I start someone young in this and build them up? The most ideal thing is to not do what I did, not do what you did, and start as a black belt where you have,
Especially for me being in my 40s.
Yeah. It's
fighting on the world stage in my 40s is just crazy.
In fact, back then I did not think that was a possibility to. Yeah. I didn't think that. I thought my time was not even a thing.
Yeah.
But then, so when we started going to tournaments and stuff like that, because Emma can jump in as a black belt because she's got all this talent, all of that. But I didn't have that confidence in myself yet to be like that. That confidence came through hard work, and then hard work will give you a lot of confidence that you didn't have before. So when we came to those tournaments, we were there, but I wasn't even really watching the black belt division. There's a way that you watch the black belt division if you're someone who wants to be a part of it, and there's a way you watch as a spectator.
As a spectator, yeah.
Because someone's nan on the side isn't watching a black belt match like we would watch a black belt match. We're looking at the nuances and putting ourselves in that positions like that. They're just like, oh, geez, this is violent. And I think I was still in that frame of mind. I was like someone's nan, watching I wasn't there yet,
Especially being protective of your students.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's as you know, this is a rough thing to start, to pave the way. And I was lucky that I had, I didn't have to be the one to jump in at the start. And that came later. and it was definitely an important step, a step I'm still making to some extent. But yeah, I think with those tournaments and stuff, and then when we got to maybe Lara, or it might have been a Kyokushin tournament, and I think you met with us in Bendigo. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think after that it was because yes. I can't remember whether Emma had actually come and trained.
I think just started.
I think just started, and then we had the Kyokushin Victorian Championship.
Yeah.
In Ballarat.
Yeah, that was it.
Ballarat.
That was Ballarat, yeah.
So of course we've gone up to that one. I coached from the sidelines a little bit, and she did quite well.
There was a few changes she had to make, but she did. Yeah, she did quite well. I think she won a match. But there was definitely some changes to be made.
Yeah.
It's kind of that's such an exciting time when there's big changes you can make. There's a few easy fixes that you're like, oh, we're going to evolve really quick. That's like, it's almost like when you first get into the game of fighting, it's almost like the same, that Shoshin when you start and you're a white belt. When you're a white belt, you get twice as good every time you step into the dojo. And it's kind of a similar time.
It is.
You go back to that, and there's a few easy fixes where you're like, okay, I'm going to get a lot better, really. I think Emma went through that, especially when she first got here. She improved leaps and bounds because she was given something that I definitely couldn't give her because I didn't have that experience yet. She was the one with the experience, and it's hard for me. It's hard to coach someone when you can't put yourself in that. You can be you can have a decent mind for martial arts where you can adapt. But as I said before, I don't think we realised yet that you didn't have to fit the mold. So we tried to fit that Kyokushin mold when we first started.
Yes.
And then when we came here, you realise, and now I think now here is an even better example because the boys have all grown up, and now you see the 3 super elite ones.
Or the 3 kings, as
the 3 kings. The 3 kings. So you see that they're all elite, but they're not all the same.
Yeah.
So like you have Robbie, who has some of the best movement you've ever seen. He's incredible. So sometimes you think you're lucky enough to get a hit it, and there's no body inside the gi. His gi's still there, but he's moved around. So you have that. Maybe one of the most frustrating people to fight.
Yeah.
You have Maddie, who's pound for pound the strongest person I've ever met. There's, without even a shadow of a doubt. He fights at middleweight. He pushes me around like it's nothing.
I remember sparring, the last time I sparred with him, as you know, it's been a little while. I think the last serious sparring round I had was during your grading.
Yeah.
That's going back a while now, yeah. And fighting Matty, like you said, pound for pound, his punches are something else. They really are. It's like being hit by junior beginners. It really is.
It doesn't make any sense.
No.
The thing about Matty is sometimes you'll hit him and you'll get hurt.
Yeah.
And he's got that sort of hard-nosed mentality where he doesn't care. He'll stand in front of you if that's what you want to do, because if you want to trade power for power with him, doesn't matter how big you are, he's prepared to play that game, and his body's in such good condition that it's going to stand up to it.
Yeah.
I
guess he's got that mix of that heavyweight power with that lightweight movement. Yeah. But it's almost like he's anchored in the ground at the same time.
Yep. And then we have Robbie, we have Maddie, 2 incredibly different fighters. And then you have Jordan, who has all the talent in the world and all the technical ability and probably the best brain. He analyzes everything. He's never happy with a technique. He needs to know every single slight detail, every nuance of every single thing. When you hear him teach, it's unbelievable. I think that I'm going to make a quick prediction here. I think that not only will Jordan end up going on to be a top-level fighter, if not a world champion, but I think he'll create more of them.
Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yeah, so he's a special.
He already is.
Yeah, so he's one to watch with that. Yeah. So we have those 3 boys, right? 3 men now. When we first came in here, that wasn't on display as much because they were still sort of developing. So we came in here for 2016, the start of 2016. So they weren't adults yet. Now you come in here and you can see that on display, and then they all have these different challenges they present. So none of them are comfortable. You know, none of them are beating up each other easily.
No.
So they sort of bouncing off each other. That is something that is such a good. So with full contact karate, when we get back to that fit in the mold, there's 3 different people who are nowhere near each other as far as mold goes. We're all
And all 3 of them are completely different to every other person that we've ever fought in the Kyokushin style tournaments.
Yeah.
There's almost like that one mold.
Yeah.
And we break that mold, and all of a sudden, every time we go to a tournament, they're changing the rules on us, saying we can't do this now and you can't do that now because, you know, you're winning everything.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't do inside leg kicks now, and you can't do, you know, you can't parry now.
Yeah.
You know, you can't do that. You've got you have to stand in front and take the punishment. It's like, well, no, you don't have to.
You don't have to fit that, and that's the thing about fights.
Yeah.
If it's a match like a game, then you're going to have to fit into a mold because you've got to play the game. But if it's a fight, there's only one thing. As long as you're within the rules, the only thing that matters at the end is who won the fight.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think when I learnt that was a bit of a turning point for me because then
It's an empowering moment, though, isn't it? It
Yeah.
is, because it makes you realise that regardless of age or experience or size, that you can adapt it to fit what you do best.
Yeah.
And I think that was the turning point for me and the confidence for me to be able to step into the World Championship and later on into the World Cup. As damaged as my body was at that point, I still had enough confidence and enough education from Kancho Sifu to be able to step into that and do what I do best. I had unbelievable punching power, unbelievable upper body movement, even though my hips were failing, and I sort of kept that secret for quite some time. I was still able to do it, and even in the worst of my condition, I was still competitive. And it just goes to prove the adaptability of this. And then when you think about Soshi Shugihara and the way that he produces a kick. Now, he's a person who is, you know, getting along in the tooth, of course. He's a retired master now. And it didn't quite dawn on me exactly how much of an impact that his fighting method had on the rest of his worldwide community.
That is the craziest thing. I don't understand how the message can be spread out so well. But it's not like Chinese whispers.
No.
People are implementing this stuff.
Yes.
And that's like the true marker of like a really effective coach. If you have that network behind you, and there's people from the other side of Japan, there's people from there, you know, not just in Japan either, they're implementing this stuff. And I think that baffles me. That's one of the craziest things. And then you see the thing about Soshi. So when we were in Okinawa last year, after you guys went, I went to the class, which I definitely shouldn't have. I remember. Yeah, I could barely walk.
Because I'd taken off, I think, we were there for, I think, a week, and then pretty much the day after that event, we flew back out. But of course, Kancho Terry wanted to go see the sights, as he always does. And you were foolish enough to go into a class the next day.
Oh, it was so bad.
After a tournament where you already had some damage on your leg.
There's an 18-centimetre hematoma through my quad 2 weeks later. So God, I don't know what it was at the time, but I got an ultrasound when I got back from Japan, and that was when it was at 18 centimetre, and it was filled with blood. Every time I'd stand up, my knee would be filled with blood, so it would be all swollen. So I was lucky that in Soshi's class they don't bow in and out in Seiza.
Yeah.
Great, perfect, because there's no way. But what they do is leg kick conditioning the day after a tournament, which is, you know, for me. And I was
and it's expected.
Yeah, and I was partnered up with Soshi because he trains the whole class. Which is like the other thing, which is, you know, for me, that's one of the things here. It doesn't matter how many of those gold bars you've got on the side of your belt. Everyone's sweating.
Everyone's sweating. That's it.
Everyone sweats. Same thing. So with Kancho Terry, he's, I think, 79 years old. He's not setting push-ups that he's not doing. You know, he does it. He trains, so he teaches a kids class. He's running around with the kids. Sometimes he'll spar in the kids class and stuff as well. He'll kick a kid in the head. And then he'll train in the seniors class, do the warm-up, do the key-on with him and stuff like that. That's the kind of person you want to look up to. And Soshi the same. That's one of the things. And then he's like doing, not just is he in the class, but he's like doing leg kick conditioning as well. And you're like, it's kind of nerve-wracking because you're like, well, how hard do I go here? But it doesn't matter because he was making me feel sick with his kicks. Because I was already injured anyway. Yeah, that was fun. But it was important for me because I haven't had that opportunity to train in the class with him yet. Seminars, yes, but in his own class with his own students, which is actually there. So, that was a crazy thing for me to see how they go. And then you see him moving around, and his top fighters are like an extension of that.
Well, it's funny because you see the little kids. You watch Soshi kick. Giden Mawashigiri, his head moves this way. Chuden Mawashigiri, head moves this way. Jordan Mawashigiri, head moves this way. Right, so everything is exactly the same. Right, and he doesn't, and he has this ability to be able to not display where the kick is coming from or where it's going to land, because the angle of the kick, where it starts from, can be converted into anything. Like my giri, yoshiro moshigiri, anything you want. So with that lean that he has, which doesn't really come from a fighting system, but an adaptability because of his age.
Yeah.
Right? So it was just easier for him to lean the body weight into it with everything, and then the body weight either came down, the body weight either went through, or the body weight either followed through, right? And it didn't really dawn on me just what that impact had until I saw a lot of his kids in the tournaments, and it was like watching these little old men fight.
Yeah.
It was just bizarre. It was just, certainly no offence to Soshi, but the exact same technique. But then then what dawned on me was efficiency. The reason why he was doing this, it was the most efficient way for his body to be able to present those kicks.
Yeah.
And then efficiency became pretty much a driving force behind everything that I started to teach from then on. And it was being efficient.
Yeah.
And being able to spar for 50 rounds here like we do quite often and still have smiles on your face at the end of it all.
And it's a game, like the Byakuren, there's a few little things they do which are game changers.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you do really well is that falling into the punch.
Yes.
It's almost like you're jousting with it. It's like that Ozuki.
Well, I remember getting hit by Kitajima in 2016. That first time he hit me, I went, I need to do that.
I need to do that. It's funny, that learning experience, when you receive it, you're like, well, this works. Yeah,
that
I know
works.
because of the tears running down my face. Yeah,
I've been hit. I've been hit hard. As you know, I've been hit really hard.
Yeah.
And I've got people to stand in front of me and just smash me to death. One punch from Kitajima was enough for me to realise, there's a smarter way to do this.
Yeah, and it's because Kitajima's a big guy, but he's not like smashing all his muscles and body weight. But he's just
so
efficient,
smooth. It was just transfer of movement into that jousting position, and it was fast. And even just the efficiency on his leg kicks, just the speed that he put onto it, were just incredible. Granted, I had a broken ankle, but
the thing about it, do you think it stems from, and it's, it's the same can be said for Sifu. These things have gotten so good, because he's constantly analysing things, and he's not married to any ideas where he's like, oh, if that's a better way,
he'll drop it and he'll change.
That's an incredible thing to do in martial, especially in like traditional martial arts, because I think sometimes in traditional martial arts that can be what holds things back, because people get so married to ideas from the past rather than, we build from the past, not keep it. So tradition is one thing. But we can evolve from that.
Evolution
evolution
is part of the human condition.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess, why, I know why Kancho called his system, he came from Shorinji Kempo, but he stuck with Shorin Kempo being the young forest.
Yeah.
Ever growing, ever changing, ever evolving.
Yep.
And adapt and overcome. And that's the motto that he trains by, that he lives by, that I live by too. And you've seen the changes that we've made. Every single time we go overseas, we come back, something's different. Every single time we take a loss, we come back, something changes. And then we go and fight the same people that we fight here in Australia who 3 years ago were kicking our asses. And then now we put them up against people that are 5 years their junior, and they don't stand a chance. Yeah. They don't stand a chance.
I would say that's a good mark of a dojo. Not everything, obviously, but if what you were teaching 3 years ago is obsolete now, it doesn't mean what you were teaching was wrong 3 years ago. Yeah. It means you've been evolving, which is that's a great sign. Yeah. That's a good thing. I think sometimes that can be like, it's not like you're admitting, it's not like you're saying, I was wrong before. No, we're moving on this. And that's the thing about traditional martial arts that I think, that can be what holds systems back.
Yeah.
Not just karateka themselves, but the whole system can be stuck in a way. But then you go to Okinawa, like one of the things that, so I went to, was it Yagi Sensei?
Yagi Sensei.
So I was lucky enough to go to the Meibukan, and he was there, and his father was teaching there.
Yeah, Miyagi Sensei.
Yeah, that's an old dojo.
Yeah. Everyone thinks that whole Miyagi thing is a myth, but it's actually a lineage.
Yeah.
It's actually a lineage, and of course Yagi Sensei wears 2 dans on his belt because he's not the master, because his father is the 3rd dan, and that's as high as it goes.
It's insane to see them when you go into one of the older dojos in Okinawa. I don't know if it's the oldest. I don't really understand the timeline that well, but the Meibukan Goju is it's a direct stem from the original Goju-Ryu. When you go in there, they're practicing kata. This kata is like not just traditional kata. This is like evolved, like tournament level kata. Like what you would see it almost like an AKF. I remember I saw someone do Kurumpa. It looked like it would win kata tournaments here. From kata players. People who are just concentrating on kata. It's on that level. And then you see them point sparring, and they're fast and they're sharp, and I wouldn't say that I've got the best point sparring brain, but I was in it for long enough to know to identify when it's good. Their kids are so sharp with it, and then those same kids take the gloves off, and they fight each other like knockdown karate. And I think a lot of Miyagi Sensei's kids.
The funny thing.
Yeah, I think he's got he has a fair few children in there.
Yeah.
And then they're good at that too, so they haven't shut the doors on anything. They're adaptable enough, and that's an old dojo who has more tradition than most, and they are not so set in their ways that they're not available to try new things.
Always evolving. The thing is, they've been in Okinawa now for a long, long time. Even back when it was known as the Ryukyu Islands.
Yeah.
And it's funny when you see systems in Australia, the many, many branches have been created and offshoots, just like every other system does, which is one thing that sort of SIF is trying to preserve, is one Shirin Kempo only. You see Goju systems here that have not followed the example of Yagi Sensei and Miyagi Sensei by evolving. Sure, you can. There is tradition, and we learn from the past, because you don't make the same mistake twice. But you don't hang on to that one lesson and say, this is all I'm going to learn. And it's almost like you're stuck in time.
Yeah.
And it's almost like here in Australia, there's that gap where the guys here in Australia have almost, I don't know, a lot would probably disagree with me, but they haven't spent enough time at the source to understand the true evolution. They haven't spent enough time with the source present day to understand the evolution. And there is evolution. And I think what happens here in Australia, we tend to want to preserve things because it's a Japanese thing. So we don't want to take anything away from that.
It probably comes from a good place of respect. They think that's how they respect. But, for me, with my master, I want to take the foundations that he laid down. I want to take that as far as I can for him. And not to sort of disrespect him, but to honour him, to honour the hard work that he did. And that's the same thing, I think, with the older masters, in Okinawa. We don't evolve out of disrespect. We stand on the shoulders of their ideas, and they're the ones who paved the way for us. So obviously we respect them. And there's things in martial arts that hold us to the past. I think Shorin Kempo is a good example from the Uchideshi, the old Uchideshi. They're still around, and they're still part of that family. Now there's how many dojos in Shorin Kempo all over the world.
Because when you travel around, you go down to see Xian Charlie's dojo, and what Sifu was teaching 30 years ago, and the original version of the kung fu based martial art. You can go down and there's that time capsule right there. And if you want to know the roots, and you can't expect to know the leaves without first understanding the roots.
Yeah.
So Charlie is he is the Genshi, the guardian at the gate of those roots, of that foundation, all that old school stuff. He's got it all here, You know, it might not be as popular these days, but you've got to have that, because then there's your reference point. So there's your reference point. So you see him, and then you see Sensei Junior, Sifu's son, his prodigy, his mirror, his product, his evolution, and the differences between the two are so stark, but so similar. And the similarities, it all comes down to Budo.
Yep.
It all comes down to Budo. And you know, and I've been saying this, you know, for quite some time, is that when you let go of the foundation of that level of respect, then everything starts to get lost. And I think that's where we see the politics here in Australia, especially in the karate side, of disrespect between full contact fighters versus points fighters versus this system versus that system, Kyokushin A, B, C, D, E, F, G, whatever Kyokushin says system that you want to belong to. Everything starts to get lost when you start to lose that respect for what it is that we're actually all doing. And like I said, I made a post the other day, stand there in your gi and put your hand over your badge.
Yeah, we're all the same.
We're all the same.
Yeah. And it's, I can see how people get stuck in that frame of mind. It's, you know, I sort of equate it, when you love what you're doing so much, you know, they say how like sometimes patriotism can lead to racism.
Yes.
It probably comes from that.
Yeah.
You know, where, you know, I think even, so in Lumpur Pai, for example, you know, there's so many dojos and there's some really good dojos around. And sometimes rivalries can maybe pop up in the past, not so much now, maybe some rivalries have popped up.
It's human nature.
It's human nature, but it comes from people who love what they do so much. They want that to be number one. So that it can be a hard thing to get past. And system to system, obviously, that's an easy thing to get into. Let's just say, I love Lumpur Pai. Lumpur Pai's in my, you know, if I'm like, that's the one for me. And like, doesn't matter what anyone else is doing. And then, you know, but it comes in that love. I can see, obviously, that's sort of not the way that I'm inclined. I train here, you know, as much as I can as well. But I can definitely see how that mentality can pop in. Not necessarily, like, and it can start from a pure place. They just love what they do and, you know, screw everything else. And then it becomes something that's more rotten and toxic. So there's an important post, I think, for people to hear is like, you know, we're all the same. And for us, you know, we love what we do, but we have to respect what the others do.
Exactly right. Love thy neighbour. You know, respect the people around you. Respect your seniors. Yeah. And the thing, I remember with Kancho, after Emma fought in her first JAC tournament in Japan, she'd been coached underneath me. But of course, when she came to me, and I think you did as well, and said, "Are we wearing your badge?" I said, "No, you're wearing your badge. Yeah. You're not going to wear mine. You know, your Kancho is going to be there with you. You represent your family." I forget where I was going with that. It was an important point. That happens to me sometimes.
I think it's a rare thing between our dojos that we work so closely. Not only have I brought students to this door plenty of times, you know, we work closely together. There's not many days where we won't speak to each other, at least in the form of text message or whatever. Some photos or checking in, you know, making sure it's okay. I think between two dojos and two systems, that's a pretty rare thing.
It is, absolutely. But of course, I love to break through boundaries.
Yeah.
And I suppose I've always sort of considered myself an instigator of change.
Yep.
The sort of personality I am, you're either attracted to or repelled by.
Definitely. There's, I don't think there's many people who are like,
there's no in between.
Xian Mat's all right.
Yeah, okay.
There's either people like, I don't want anything to do with that guy, or they're like, I love that guy, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a good way to be, because then you know where you stand with everyone.
Well, I do, absolutely. And I suppose you know that you're doing something right when you're being blamed for being strong.
Yeah.
You're being blamed. It's your fault that you're holding the strong line, and it's your fault that you're too tough, and it's your fault that you are doing more than everybody else is. then you know you're doing the right thing.
Yeah, and that's
And I
that's
think
some
that
criticism you want.
I saw that starting to happen with you as well.
Yeah.
And it was only because there was fear amongst, and I suppose you can call it fear or trepidation or whatever, that your club was branching out to doing something else that nothing that had ever been seen in Longford Live before. Sure, you'd done a bit of kickboxing, but you hadn't been to that level of full contact karate before, and you were pioneering your way through it.
Yeah, and then there's pressure that comes with that. I find I felt a lot of pressure during that time.
Yeah.
And I maybe said some things that were a bit harsh, or whatever like that. It's not an easy position to be in. I don't think it's meant to be.
It's hard when when also physically and emotionally you're starting to feel strong and confident.
Yeah.
And the moment that you do that, people reflect themselves off you.
Yep.
And then they either see themselves in you or they don't. And that's where the friction starts.
Some friendships started, and then I think you have to, whatever your thing is, you got to be passionate about it. And I think if it's coming from the right place, people will see that eventually. I think a lot of the stuff that we went through is over now.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Absolutely.
I still have strong views within our own club, and I have strong views of what I think that how instructors should act, and so I should probably shut up more. There's been a few times where I've probably walked out of conversations with less friends than I walked in with, but that's But I'm passionate about those views, and I really believe that that's what the best thing is.
Well, the thing is, too, is you've never done anything truly worthwhile until you've made a few enemies.
But we're, at the end of the day, just like with any family, I think you can get through disagreements and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And you have to give it. You have to treat it like that. Treat it like
it's all
family.
Give and take as well.
Yeah.
And if I suppose if there are people, as with any situation, if there's more give than there is take, then you start. You've got to start to reevaluate.
Yep.
And I think that the fortunate thing that you have with Cuncho Terry is that he's prepared to give.
Yep.
Whereas a lot of people would, still do just take, but Cuncho Terry kind of makes up for that lag.
Yeah.
And it does take time for that new change of mentality to filter through.
Yeah. And he's got to think about so many people. So for me, when I make a decision, I have to think about, my own dojo, and then I make sure it's cool with him or whatever. Obviously I've consulted with you most of the time. So, but he's got so many people he has to think about. So when I'm pushing for stuff, sometimes it's not what's best for everyone. And that's cool, but he's been super, understanding about where I'm going. And he believes in me. He believes in Emma. He believes in Trevor. He believes in the relationship that we have between our two dojos here and stuff as well. So he's been pretty good with that. But sometimes for me, I forget that he's got to make decisions for a whole bunch of people, and and even in times like this, you're not just a member of your dojo.
No.
You're a member of your system,
Yeah.
and you're a member of the federation that you're part of. So for me, I'm not just a member of Longwari Dojo. I'm a member of Lungfabaya, and then when the wider WKO as well. In situations like that, you have to think on those three sort of levels. For him, that broader level is his main concern, and as it should be, because that's what happens when you're a leader of the mob. It's funny how. The difference in mentality. I'm starting to learn that with him as well. Like that, it's not a good job. It's not an easy job. It's a good job if you fit it, but it's certainly not an easy job to do. And I think as an effective leader, which he is, and this is a turning point for any leader, when you realise that being at the front of the class doesn't make you the king of the class. It makes you the servant. And he definitely has that mentality, whereas he's there to serve the people underneath him. Very similar to you. He's not thinking, no, this is what we're doing. He's thinking of his members first before him.
It's funny too. He's never once ever, and that was the point that I was trying to get to before that I forgot about. While we're in that tournament, I remember going off to the side after Emma fought, and he came up and he said, Sensei then, he said, Sensei, thank you so much. And I said, oh, Cuncho, that's no problem. He goes, no, call me Terry, call me
Yeah,
Terry.
yeah.
I was like, no, I can't do that.
Yeah.
How about Cuncho Terry?
Yeah, there you go, yeah, meet in the middle.
But it just showed the amount of respect that he had for somebody that had a skill set that he didn't have,
Yeah.
but I was able to provide for his students.
Yep.
And to me, that spoke volumes. He was this, at that, I forget how old he was then, maybe 70-something.
76 maybe.
Yeah, and here he was, a 76-year-old man talking to me, a young 40-odd-year-old man, and thanking me for training his own students.
And that's he's like that. He's always sort of been like that, and he's happy for people to go get what they need, and that's why people are loyal to him. Because the one thing about Luang Prabhai is, there's so many people. So sometimes, and people are passionate about what they think should. The one common denominator that holds everyone together is their love for him.
Yeah.
Unconditional love.
Yeah.
Like like family. And I guess that's the difference between when you're someone's master. That's what really is that difference. Is there's no longer any conditions over that relationship. Whatever they do, that's it. And they've got you in mind for that. And I guess the difference with that unconditional love, it goes both ways. He loves and respects the people underneath him as well.
Yep.
And that's where that family sort of aspect comes from it. And with him, I don't think we'll ever see him in a cream blazer at a tournament.
Never.
He hides in the crowd.
He'll hide in the crowd.
Yeah.
He's not interested in the fanfare, which is the same as me.
Yeah.
You see a lot of the people, especially from Australia, they'll clamber to these tournaments and so they can put on their white jacket.
Yeah.
They don't do any training, or they don't provide any fighters. They don't do anything. Just put on the white jacket, get up there and get the photo, and get in the Japanese newspapers. And I remember Sifu at one tournament was saying to me, "Matt, come up here. Come up here." I was like, "No."
Sifu will pick you out of the crowd as well. At that JAC tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, how many people in that stadium?
Yeah.
At that, what is it, Orion Arena?
Oh, yeah, there was thousands. How many fighters did we have
Sifu
that day?
picked Kencho from the stands.
Yeah.
And said, "Hey, come here." And then he feels like he's underdressed because then he sits there next to Sochi and Sifu.
And he's in his famous blue tracksuit.
Yeah. He's like, but that's just him. He's not interested in being that guy. He's, and there's something very admirable at that.
Absolutely.
One day we might get him in a cream.
Maybe.
Just to see what it looks like. Yeah. It's funny, he, the people of our club got him a new belt. Mainly because his old one was just falling apart. But, just as an expression of, you see him 2 weeks later, I go to his dojo, "Where's your new belt?" He puts his old black belt back on again, and he's not really interested in that. That's it.
Fanfare.
Yeah, and the thing he doesn't. People still treat him how he should be treated anyway. He doesn't, and I think that's sort of something to be said as well.
I think what I found out during your first fight internationally in Okinawa, and I sat down with Terry, and I think we're having that conversation about opening the doors for recognition for your system to be able to stand along in the Japanese without everyone sort of pointing and saying,
who's this?
What does this mean?
Yeah.
And what does that mean? And we're getting like a new belt for you guys made up for the two of you. So as you were the same as everybody else in Japan. So as you had that credibility. And I remember Kancho showing me his belt, and I thought it was an embroidered belt. You sort of see this embroidered belt. What I didn't realise was that he'd actually like hand painted with that three-dimensional paint, the kanji onto his belt, and you run your fingers over it, and it's like raised and like he actually wrote it on there.
That's what he does for he does.
And then I learned that of course he used to do it for every single belt.
He still does.
He still does it.
I had my first belt. It's not in good shape. My first black belt. Emma used to wear it from time to time. It stinks and it's hard, but it's got his handwriting on it. Yeah. He loves doing those. I think it's kind of special. One day, people will be upset if they don't have one of those belts. I don't wear that belt all the time. I have an embroidered belt because if you wear a belt as much as what I do, that's probably not going to last that long.
Exactly right. Yeah.
But But yeah, it's a special thing that he does, and he loves doing candid. Like I remember when Senpai Fleur was awarded her Shodan ho.
Should have, yeah.
You know, he came to the dojo. He did that kanji. I think is it at the front still?
Yeah.
And it says the Brotherhood of Martial Arts.
Yeah.
And it's nice that he does that kind of thing. In fact, he's doing a kanji for me. You can tell you in here. He does like the brushstroke kanji and stuff like that. It's a cool thing that he does. That's and that sort of comes down to that no frills approach as well, because I think that has two sort of functions. It's sort of a bit more no frills, but also it's an incredibly personal thing that he's like takes the time to write.
Absolutely.
Down.
I remember when I first graded to Shodan was in Ishinryu, and I was given my $3 black belt from Martial Sports with the $10 embroidery with my name written in English, Matthew Charles, it was spelt wrong, and my certificate's got one T on it, you know what I mean, and it wasn't that care and attention, and I tied that thing. It still meant something that I'd earned that rank, but I remember when that all fell apart and we became Seishin. Most people know the history, but we'll probably get into that again another day. But when I became Seishin, I decided that anyone who earned a black belt under me earned something that was worth the time for me to put the effort into it. So I would make sure that I got somebody in Japan to translate their names. I had it all embroidered. The belts were, as you remember, a Kusakura belt, which is ridiculously expensive, especially at the particular shop that we used to buy them from. And they'd unpick the belt completely, get the kanji made in there. That titles was by hand, but it wasn't by hand. It was done in an embroidery machine, and then the belt sewn back up. So it was.
It's a process that they go through.
Yeah, it was a massive process, and certainly a huge cost. And I saw that as an absolute necessity, that person would have something that I took so much time and care and love and attention to for them to wear. And I've still got one of those belts. So I actually got when I first became a Shodan, I remember my teacher saying to me, here's a belt, but you can go buy your own one if you want. So I did, because I kind of felt like I'd earned it. So I went and got that belt made, and I got the research done. There was that driving force behind me that even though I wasn't being taught it there, it was still here. And I guess that sort of drove me to become exactly what we are today, is that want to be solidified, to be something, Budo was so much more than, point fighting. And Budo is so much more than just a system taught by somebody who barely can speak Japanese. You know what I mean? It was to me it was something else, and to me it was having a mentor that was accountable for his power. And for me, I wasn't getting that at that stage. So of course, as you well know, I walked away from that. Kind of walked away. I did, but. And then I was on a journey of self-learning before I met Sifu. And it took me a good 4 years before I'd finally said, Sifu, I want to join, and here's the reasons why. I put him to the test as much as he put me to the test. But he was humble enough to still say, okay, no worries, you do what you've got to do, you follow your process. You're better off. I'll give you, these are your options. You can do this and this and this. I'll support you any way you want to go. Yeah.
And I think that transition, so I was here, you were already showing Kempo, because you'd already fought in the World Cup or the World Championship? Which one was in Thailand?
World Championship,
so you'd already done, I think I came just after that.
Yeah.
But the system wasn't integrated 100% yet. I was sort of here for that. And things happen in a gradual. It's nice that Sifu, sort of gives people the room to say, let's, over time, everything doesn't have to change straight away. It's not such a shock. And then by the time, so now, you guys are like pure blood Shorin Kempo, I would say. It's so true to the syllabus, in the system. But do you think maybe that's, you were given the time to do that? So, and do it properly. So now you have people, like when you see the guys doing the kata. I was fortunate enough to be around the time when all that stuff was
just starting to learn.
Yeah, so I got to learn along with you guys, which is nice now that I can sort of come in.
And it's kind of funny because you were walking into a situation learning something from us, but we were also learning something as well.
We got to,
and we were also learning stuff from you. So it was that sort of collective circle of knowledge, which...
And then by the time I did my Sundown grade, I did the shorin, I did 4 shorin, so I did the bow kata, and then Ichni San, the shorin Ichni San as well.
So let's talk about that, because that was the reason for today's conversation was your leadership, but your determination to go above and beyond, but also to set the path and to do something that had never been done before. It was controversial in your system to do that, but you were the first person to do a 40-man kumite, a real kumite, not just sparring.
Not sparring, but fighting,
But full contact, bare knuckle karate, 40 rounds. Round 20 you fought me and I absolutely flogged you, and round 40 I fought you and I absolutely flogged you.
I can't remember that one, but I remember round 20. It's, that's a confronting thing to do. I think that sort of comes from, there was a 50-man kumite where there was a few people went up. I think it was Fleur, Senpai Rick, Senpai Robbie. Did Rog and Johnny did the 50-man kumite as well that same day?
There were 6 of them, plus me getting smashed as well.
Yeah, you did it too. So after that, which is there's no better beer than the beer in the rooms after the 50-man kumite.
Oh, yes.
Because everyone's been through that. That's such a tense environment, and that was a particularly brutal one.
Yeah, it was,
That was a rough day for everyone involved.
Yeah.
And there were so many people doing the 50-man kumite, people on the round of geez, I reckon I must have fought 20 rounds that day. I was exhausted, and everyone's beat up.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah.
You know. We had that conversation, okay, so my Sundown was sort of in the talks or whatever, and we're, okay, so what are we going to do?
I did kind of throw you in the deep end.
And then we had the conversation, and there was a roller coaster of emotions.
Yeah.
This number went up, down, up, down. I was like,
Sifu saying,
I'm okay.
There was 20, 30, 50, 40.
Yeah. And then, so I think we went from, I think it started out as 40.
I was pushing for 50, but
Yeah.
Sifu took pity and he was saying 30. And we kind of met in the middle at 40.
Yeah, so that's the way it works. It's and we'll get to that 50 after this, because that's something I still. So that the preparation sort of began then, and it was nice for me. It represented a belief that you guys had in me that I could do that. I think I'd fought Gav at the Station Cup.
Yes. Yep.
Which was an important step. We'll stick to the grading for now. When the preparation for that started, that was terrifying. But I was really lucky because the boys were fighting at the same time. So they were going through a horrible preparation as well, you know. So, and that's kind of a cool thing in here, is there's a bunch of people are preparing for different things at different times. Yeah. So you don't have to go at things alone. And even when they finished, so they fought, I think maybe a month before my grading was on. Maybe even closer, maybe 2 weeks. And I think you were out, so as I said, that was the last time you really fought. You were already pretty injured and you were in and out of doctor's appointments, hospitals, stuff like that. But when you're not here, it's not like the torture stops.
No.
Because then Sensei Tony Hester walks in and he should work in Guantanamo Bay getting information out of people sometimes. So he really put me through the ringer as well. And there was one point, so it's easy when you have 5 of you preparing for stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like the tasks aren't any easier, but you have the strength of the brotherhood next to you.
It's the camaraderie, absolutely.
But then they fought, and as you know, after you fight, you can't just come back and redline it again. You need to have, even if you're physically okay, you need to mentally have a bit of a break. So they came back. Then I'm by myself, but there was one night, really towards the end, those thick ropes from Thailand. They're made of like clear vinyl. People don't, if they haven't seen them before. Are they in here? Or
we've got a couple of them around. Actually, I got one just there.
Yeah.
Stole it from Guncho Sif?
I got mine from the City of Tong gym in Pattaya. Sensei Tony got me to do, I think, half an hour rounds of skipping on that. And half an hour of skipping's hard. Half an hour of skipping on those things. And I know you've got some horror stories about skipping in Thailand as well. Sensei Tony, he's a pretty strong leader in the way that and he knows what you need to do, and you're going to do that. There's no, and I was like, and I'm already beat up, from the preparation, and because the boys were fighting as well, we were doing like 20 rounds of sparring every Wednesday night, so that takes a toll on you. And this was before the sparring, and there's one night, Maddie, I think he might have even just competed. Maddie put his hand up and said, "Sensei, do you mind if I do it with him?" And that was such a boost for me.
Yeah.
It's such a thing, and that's something that I've learned from this place, and I would like to continue that. When someone's working hard, you don't want them to feel like they're going at it alone. It's about them, but they don't have to do it by themselves.
I think that's a great culture that we managed to create.
And the boys all everyone here sort of steps up like that. That's crazy. So that preparation is the grading. Not the 40-man kumite. I also did 18 katas before that as well. I was wrecked before the kumite.
I remember thinking, I was sitting at the table beside Kancho Terry, and I'm sitting there going, does he realise? I don't think he realises what we've got in store for him.
Yeah, that was
it's like, you need to back off now, because he's going to need a little bit of rest, because I'm going to kick the shit out of him.
Yeah. The Olympic syllabus is vast.
It's huge. Yeah, that's the thing about Kancho Terry's system, is that he's always adding, which is great. Yeah. But he never lets go of anything else. Yeah. So it's like, it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
So to work towards that grade, that was a hard thing to work towards, because you still expect to do quite a high standard of kata. I'm not a naturally gifted kata guy.
Yeah.
I can do it because I can work hard at it, and I can sort of figure it out as I go. But
Can I tell you how horrible a person I am? Right?
Yeah.
I was sitting at the table watching your long foot pike kata and thinking, yeah, that's great, that's good. And then you started with some of the Shorin kata, and I looked and went, yeah, that's wrong. That's wrong.
I stepped, what I did in the Shorinichi? When you roll the hands and you step back, I stepped forward, and I looked at you and I knew at the time,
Oh, I'm going to get you for that.
Yeah. I was like, oh. And I felt like my heart just sort of went off without a hitch until that point. I'm like, oh, it's got to be something. But I think when you're in front of everyone, there's a lot of, I get a lot of support from my own dojo and from Lung Fu Pai in general. There are a lot of people in the room.
The martial arts community, I think, and that's what you sort of brought to the table. I remember sitting at the table, I've got Kancho Terry, there was me, and then there was a judo instructor
from
Warrigal.
Yeah, from Druin. From
Druin. Just there to support you.
Yeah.
And I thought, how good is this?
Yeah.
How good is this? And then it reminds me of exactly what we do in WKO. You go to all those tournaments, and sitting beside me is Kancho Hasegawa and Shian Kancho Mizuguchi and Soshi Shugihara and Shian Ichikawa. All these different systems are all there to support each other.
Yeah.
And then you meet, all of a sudden, this frail old man walks over to you, and you're called over to shake his hand, and he's like the direct descendant of the founder of judo.
Yeah.
I can't even remember his name.
Was he in Okinawa?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
yes, at your tournament.
Yeah. So that's the level, what I we want to try and achieve.
Yeah.
That brotherhood of martial arts, like kanji, the Kensho rights that you wrote for Fleur, that's something that for me is like a very important thing, and I know it's important to you too. So when we're at the grading and there's all these people there, our friends and family and stuff, who my dojo isn't around the corner from where I grew up, so everyone has to travel. You want to put in a good show for the kata as well. I'm not trying to just survive the kata so I can get. I want to honor my master by giving his syllabus the respect that it deserves and the effort to put into it, and to put on a show of like that high level of technique, or at least my version of high level of technique. Yeah. That's probably different people probably have different opinions of that, but I wanted to do that to the point where, and then we have the 40-man kumite afterwards. The 40-man kumite. So to prepare for that, they're saying it's a hard balance, because you still have to practice those kata. And you have to practice the kata not just so it's right, which obviously wasn't all right, but yeah. The other thing is, you have to practice it so you're efficient enough, so it's powerful, but efficient. Because I don't want to be dead when at the start of the 40-man kumite. Unfortunately, my first round was against Jordan, so I was dead by the round 2. But so that's such a difficult thing to. That's like a full-time job to prepare for that. It's something that's a hard balance. But after the 40-man kumite, I survived. I don't know how many fights I won, but I felt like I stood up and did what I could. Looking back at it now, and this is how evolution works. Now I watch the videos of that, and I'm like, I'm giving that another crack.
Oh yeah.
Because then, and that's how you should feel. You should look at videos a couple of years ago and go, geez, I sucked then. That's how you know you're getting better, or you don't have a good grasp of your own ability. But that was for me. Obviously, that's an important thing, and on consultation with you, that's something we came to. This was going to be an important step. So that was for me. That was a very important thing to get through. A rough thing to get through. I think my wife had a worse time than I did. Yeah,
it's always the family that suffers.
Yeah. For me, as you know, you're delirious by the end, so your whole body's in pain. Yeah. You feel like you've been in a car accident, but it's then when you think about, you don't respect the 100-man kumite fully until you've done 40 or 50. Then you look at the 100-man kumite like what a task it is. And that's why it's, the 100-man kumite is like such a crazy thing. We've been talking about goals a lot lately. The 100-man kumite is a goal it's a goal that's brought to you. It's such a high achievement. And I think until you've done that 40, well, for me, I always knew that was a crazy thing. But when you're at round 35 and you've got 5 more rounds to go,
it seems endless.
So I can't imagine when you're at round 35 and you have 65 more to go. That's insane.
It's kind of funny though. It's a different animal because I've done 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. Hopefully soon do 100. And it becomes a different animal. It becomes a different conditioning, and it becomes a different process mentally. And I think I remember there was a sports psychologist that I was talking to recently who said to me, do you give 100% effort to everything you do? And I said, yeah, I do. And he said, no, you don't. You give about 60% effort. I said, no, I give 100%. He goes, no, you don't. Because if you gave 100% effort to everything that you did, you'd be a much more elite athlete than you already are if you gave 100%, because every human is capable of the same thing. That's why, for me, as a mentor, as a coach, I could see you and go, oh yeah, no worries, I can make you a fighter.
Yeah.
I could see any person, no worries at all, got their attributes, abilities, disabilities, whatever, I can make them a fighter.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it dawned on me then that he was exactly right. I hadn't given 100% to absolutely everything. So then it just becomes a different animal. When you're doing a 40-man kumite and you're around 40, when you're around 35, those last 5 rounds mentally are tough. If you know you've got another 60 rounds after that, your mind isn't even there.
Yeah.
Your mind is
because you can't see the finish line yet. That makes sense.
Yeah. So that's the mentality that I wanted for you to take.
Yeah.
But of course, everything happens in small steps. I mean, sure, if you had said that day, I'll do 50 rounds, and I almost on the day said after the 40th round, guess what? 10 more.
I've seen you do that to someone before.
I have done that to someone before.
That was a mean trick.
It was. But the thing is, he got through
it. Yeah, Eddie got through it pretty. And I think, that when you're already there, it's probably also. That was Michael, wasn't it?
Yes.
And it's a crazy thing. I hope that the younger generation of the club that maybe weren't around for that understands just these, the obviously the superstars are the superstars and everyone knows that. But in here, that older generation from then, your Nidans and stuff, I hope they understand that those those are bad men. You know? I certainly do. It's because you see what they're capable of, and then you know, and you see how they train and stuff like that. You know, I hope they realise the sort of people that walk around these mats. And I think with them, even with Sensei Mick, Sensei Gavin, Sensei Michael, they're so humble that they don't put that vibe out to people.
They don't.
Until Michael kicks you in the face. You know? And it's not with his foot, it's with his shin.
Yeah.
And his shins are so hard.
And all you hear is that ring.
Yeah.
And then everything sort of goes a little bit black for a little while,
Yeah.
and then you realise that you're still fighting, and he's still hitting you.
And then you try and put pressure on Senpai Gav, and there's no pushing him back.
There's nothing.
He's strong as a bull, and then you see him do those. Remember he does those push-ups, those like explosive push-ups.
Yeah.
And like he's an athlete.
Yeah.
He's got that athletic ability, and then you fight Senpai Mick. You know,
66 years old now.
you're not taking a round off because he's fighting you to the death.
Yeah,
There's no round off.
66 years old, and you think you've got an easy round with Senpai Mick?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yeah, and then Sensei Tony is like there's no set. I'm like, you know, when you look in the lines and we go, so the rotation, two down. I'm looking at it, I'm like doing the maths. I'm like, oh, he's coming. Because you know I've never had an easy round with Sensei, and he's like, he always starts off like, look, I'm a bit unfit. We'll just see how I go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why are you smashing me there? You know, it's
I'm so sorry, I'm not up to scratch.
there's those people, yeah. It's like he hits you with the hardest shot. And it's funny here that you have those people. You have the superstars, but then the people that they walked behind are like just as bad, you know. And they've evolved. It's evolved, but yeah, it's funny like that. It's and all those people have been through those hard tests as well. So with Michael, when he went through that, and that was one of the first gradings. Who did the 40-man kumite? Matty that day?
Yes, I think it was Matty.
Yeah.
He was scheduled for 40-man, and Gav was going up for Nidan. So he was required to do 30, but he'd never done a 40-man before because he graded to Showdown before we had the 40-man. So he'd done the 20-man before.
So that you see when they spring it up, but that was, and again, that was insane. Matty, when Matty did his 40-man kumite, I was going in the car after that grade. I'm like, that is confronting, because you haven't seen, if you haven't seen that before, it's like we were talking about at the camps now. So obviously these gradings get done at the camps now. That's an electric. I think the last one was the best one because Kanchateri was on the taiko drums.
That was awesome. Awesome.
And there was only two of them, and then Soshi was there as well.
Yeah,
and then Ichikawa Xiao was there, and obviously Sifu and Junior.
Yeah.
And that was the 50-man kumite, the big one the year before, was loud in the room. Everyone cheering, something like that. That was like almost like a closed door kumite where it was very quiet, eerily quiet. Yeah. And that was a weird one, but it was cool. But there were only elite level fighters. Yeah, so there was no easy rounds for them.
No.
And then so we've spoken about the three boys, and then we've spoken about the Nidans, and then you see Rog and Johnny, how they handle that. Johnny had a rough go in his first one.
Yeah. I think he did. He took a massive head kick at about
really
round
early,
15, I think, and he was concussed from then on.
Yeah, but he still got through.
Absolutely, he did.
Like a crazy person.
He wasn't drinking beer that night.
Yeah, wow.
To be honest, we should have taken him to the hospital.
Yeah, he was a strange. His skin colour was a strange grey.
It was.
He was. After him watching him shake, so that.
Yeah, had to check him for a pulse a couple of times.
Yeah. And then Rog, like when you see how Rog can handle that kind of pressure environment is insane. Yeah. But those guys, martial arts isn't something that they do. It's something they are. They are this place. Yeah. They are the system, the dojo. They're like an extension of you, and they live this place. They're important as much as this is. They're important to here, obviously. Anyone who walks in here knows how important they are in here, but it goes both ways. This place is a part of them as much as they're a part of here. So all those bad men and women that have trained here, it's almost impossible to not become like that. So for me to do the 40-man kumite, I think I'd already been in this environment for maybe a year, maybe 2 years. Probably 2 years.
A little bit longer, yeah. Probably 2 years at least.
Yeah, and then after that, so my motivation, the way you've motivated me, is probably different to the way you motivated most other people. The motivating factor for me is, you're a leader. You lead from the front.
Well, the thing is, the difference was that that's the difference between teaching somebody that you see as a junior to you and somebody that you see as an equal. And you had sort of earned my respect as a teacher because I could see what it is that you were about. So the way that I approached you was almost from a friend's point of view, almost from like I would if me and Tony were going to go through something together.
Yeah.
And that was the approach that I wanted to take. So, and I knew that reaching out to you that way and giving you that respect was the motivation in itself.
Absolutely, that was a crazy thing. For me, that's a massive motivating factor. Is that not for me, but what example can I show the people who are behind me? What can we do? Here. That's been my motivating factor for that Sundown grading. That's my motivating factor for that first fight against Gav. I didn't come in here wanting to fight. I just came in wanting to get better.
Yeah.
I never sort of saw myself as a fighter. I wasn't interested, and I didn't have that self-belief that I could even do that. And then, the more people put their trust in you and, you trust them and they believe in you, and that you're sort of hard to avoid eventually. And then you fall in love with that process, I think.
Yeah.
And the thing with...
Isn't it funny? And we've said so many times to our students, trust the process.
Yeah.
And they don't understand it. Like a lot of people just see it as, well, you just beat me up. Well, trust the process.
Yeah.
Just trust it.
Not everyone's mentally strong enough for the process.
No. But that's what we cannot surround ourselves. Like Sifu says, we don't create fighters, we create leaders.
Yeah.
And that's what we do. Teachers and leaders come first. The fighters are just the byproduct.
Yeah.
So you fighting and me fighting, I'm, what international experience have I got? I've got two international fights. What fights have I got here in Australia? Not a lot, but the ones that I did fight were strong and I did well. But that was just a byproduct of being a good leader.
Yeah.
And being a teacher. So the fighters are just the byproduct.
Yeah.
Really. So being in that leader mentality, you've got to live by that code. Loyalty, honour, courage, honesty,
and the
respect.
courage thing is like...
Courage.
The courage is something that... And I think people misunderstand what courage is, because I think they think that courage is like that absence of fear. It's not an absence of fear. You're going to do things that scare you all the time. If you're not doing the things that scare you, then you're probably not pushing it hard enough. But that, that action with the presence of fear, that's what true courage is. As far as the way I look at it, and that's part of being a leader, is that like, this might suck, but I'm still going to do it anyway, and then, not sort of look back. I think that was the way you convinced me to do the first fight, because you're like, how are you going to show people if you don't...
Exactly right. How do you expect your students to do it if you haven't done it yourself?
And the thing about you is sometimes you'll put an argument in such... You put it in such a plain way that I'm like, I got nothing to come back to, I guess.
It's pretty hard to argue with logic.
That logical sort of way to explain it. So that was one thing. That was pretty nerve-wracking. I think anyone's first fight is going to be nerve, especially if you're fighting someone who's a black belt and you're fighting someone who's a pretty big guy and who's accomplished in their own right, and you've seen them like that.
And you've already sparred with them.
I don't know what's worse. I don't know what's worse, fighting someone you've never met before, or fighting someone that their capabilities and they have great capabilities. Yeah. That first match, I had a good time. It was good. In my mind, though, I hadn't got my head around going any further than that. And you said to me after that, maybe this can become this can open up a whole new door for that. Yeah, great, whatever. And then but you get through these, when you make these big leaps and bounds, it's almost like a mini traumatic experience that you have to go through that you need to recover from. And then, so we got through that. And then we were in Japan for that first JAC, or might have been before JAC, might have been junior or Japan. The one in 2016. I can't remember what that was. Yeah. It's, so when we were there, and then you said to me, after they'd all finished fighting, you said to me, well, maybe this can be you one day. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, maybe, I guess. Not really.
It's funny because I was planting the same seeds with you, that Sifu did with me. I remember when I first met Sifu, when he came to the first WKO Australia camp that was run by me, and he brought everybody along, and I said to him, "Oh, I'd love to do a kumite," and he goes, "Well, why don't you fight?" And I thought, "Well, why don't I?"
Yeah.
And then I had somebody else beside him saying, no, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. And then I was saying, I'd love to get my students to do the 40-man kumite. I had somebody from Kyokushin sort of going, "Oh, no, you can't do that. No, that's our thing. You can't do it. You can't do it." No,
people take ownership of...
And Sifu said, "Well, why not? Why don't you make it from now on? Everybody does a 40-man kumite."
This is just like what you did to me, that logical thing.
I can see my students behind me going, "Oh, no."
Yeah. I explain that to my students. I'm like, the reason I put myself through that is because what's coming for you guys. It's not, I haven't graded anyone from white belt to black belt yet.
Yeah.
We've had a few gradings in the dojo, but it's people come in as black belts and they grade to their shot. They have to go to their shot on again or whatever like that. And I think we're 6 years in, going on 7 now. This year's going to be a bit. I don't know what happens to gradings this year. So it's never been my focus anyway, the grading thing. But but for those people that come all the way through, and Trevor's and same with Emma, like they're an important part of that, of leading the way. But yeah, so with that, we did the first one, okay, and then we went to Japan, and you sort of planted that seed, and then we got back. I think I did the grading after that, so I did the 40-man kumite after that. We had that whole thing at the camp with the number going up and down, up and down. After that, the Okinawa tournament came up. I don't know whether you called me or whether you spoke to me as I walked in.
We were at Johnny and Roger's grading, that closed door 40-man kumite. A year after they did their 50-man kumite with Shion Ichikawa. And I was sitting, I had Sifu, Soshi, and me, because I think Ichikawa was fighting, Ichikawa was fighting at the
which
time.
was crazy as well, yeah.
And you got up to fight one of the rounds. And I said to Sifu, "What do you think?" And he said, does he fight with you? Because it looks like he fights with you guys. I said, "Well, yeah, he's been training with me for, he's under Terry, of course, but he's been fighting, he's been training under me for 3 years now." And he said, he's okay. Which in his mind is, he's certainly worthy. And I said, "How about the Okinawa Open?" And from there, he turned around to Soshi. He said, the way that he does, because he can't speak Japanese fluently, but they've got this really unique way that they communicate. So he said to Soshi, Soshi, look, train with Matoshian, train. What do you think? Okinawa Open. And Soshi went,
Okay.
And that was it.
Yeah.
And then of course you've come off, and I said, "Guess what?
Yeah.
How would you like to fight in the Okinawa Open?" You said, "Really?" And I said, "You've just been given the nod." And I think it was like 10 minutes after the kumite, or it might have been the next day, I'm not sure, but we were taking everybody's photos.
Yeah.
To get
it was during the I think it was in between rounds.
Between rounds, we're taking your photo so as we could hurry up the process to get you into the magazine.
Yeah.
So
the Australians in that program, the Aussies are the only ones who are dripping with sweat in the program because we're in between rounds of a kumite, and that was and obviously the trust that comes with that, with an invitation like that, is something that's like, it gives pressure because you want to live up to other people's trust and belief in you. Yeah. But it's certainly a good thing for me. Pressure's good for me. I like it. It's so that was a whole new world of training, because when you're training for a kumite and a grading, you want endurance. But when you're training for a fight, you're not trying to survive a round. That's not the idea. The idea is you're trying to win. So the training stepped up, but I was lucky because the boys were going through the same training with that. So that was and we did a lot of the rounds. In sparring changed, I think then. Yeah. Preparing for when the guys were preparing the grading. That's what it was. When I did my grading, the others were preparing for their short arm grading. So we were all doing the same thing.
So everybody was doing the same thing together.
So we were all training for endurance.
Yeah.
Now we're all training to fight. So those rounds, you know, which
That
is
you're fighting with Rob and
only
Jordan,
the
Matty,
only the top, and you're trying to kill each other in the dojo, which is you know, but just trying to get that level of like preparing for that. So this is the intensity it's going to be, you know. So I think the training for that's a bit more nerve wracking.
It is.
In sparring, because you're trying to
Especially,
take each
I
other
remember
apart.
there was a time that we were doing, and I made it a complete surprise, and when he wanted to know what I was up to, and you all had 20 kilo weight plates above your heads, and you're doing forward lunges.
Yeah.
And then it was on every 10th lunge, I would walk up to you before you even gotten up and just hit you as hard as I could. And the other boys knew it, and the plates didn't move.
Yeah.
Whereas you saw me coming, and you almost dropped the plate down to guard yourself in a punch. Said, get your hands back up, straight back up, and then crack. And that one really hurt you.
Yeah.
Well, not in a damaging way, but it was you didn't expect that.
Yeah.
But that's what you expect in a fight, and that's when I got hit by Kitajima for the first time.
Yeah.
That's what I felt. So we had to replicate that.
Yeah, replicating that sort of, and then I think I learned a lot because remember remember the camp, I had a hematoma on my shin, which was
Sifu was saying it was
Sifu's
the same
like,
camp. He's like,
Sifu,
he's got gangrene.
We were talking about the tournament. Sifu's going, don't worry about the tournament, you're going to lose your leg. I was like, but I wasn't prepared to go home early from the camp because you can travel all that way to leave on a Sunday Sunday before the seminars. But yeah, that was a funny. I was thinking maybe I'll have like some sort of a Blade Runner situation by the time the tournament comes around. I'll have the footwork like Robbie. But yeah, so that sort of taught me about adapting because then for me I got big, thick legs, heavy legs, so I can sort of leg kick pretty well. There was two things that did. Mentally, when you take away something that you consider to be a strong weapon of yours, it plays on you mentally a bit.
Oh,
and
yes.
then I wasn't throwing. I think I threw a kick at Matty, and he checked it, and he's. But it doesn't matter. I don't think Matty even has to check a kick before. so you get a hematoma on your shin. So there's two things that sort of happen. You have to readjust everything you do. You start kicking off your left rather than kicking off your right more dominantly. So it becomes about inside leg kicks rather than outside leg kicks, stuff like that. I like the front of the quad. Pulling the knee up and pushing forward because I'm heavy. Yeah. So just trying to use as much body weight. So stuff like that, you have to adjust because you didn't do that before, which is not a perfect time. And I was still trying to get my running in, still trying to get skipping in as well with that kind of stuff. It just played on me mentally, I think, but I think getting through it gave me more confidence than ever. And the other thing is you learn when to throw hard shots and when not to. Yeah. I think that's one thing that I took from that I was like, okay, this is. But so when I got through that and then we get to Japan, it wasn't such uncharted territory because I was with you, I was with Jordan and then Maddie as well. And they'd already been to this dance before. They already know how to do this. So I was like not so nervous. Cause I'm like, and just like saying that when you surround yourself with champions, you become like them. You become a lion like they do. I just was like, I'll just do what they do. Yeah. They sleep during the tournament.
They're all
well, guess
sleeping.
what? Good night. Yeah, I'll see you when. And that was a big because for me, like, I think when you go to a tournament, you burn so much energy watching matches because you get nervous. And
just as a coach.
Yeah, coaching is like
an event. By the time the tournament's over, you're done. I remember the last time my daughter fight when I was there, and at the end of that fight, I'm done. I'm out of there.
Yeah,
I'm mentally spent.
It's so it's crazy. It's like. So, but that method of like, and does that come from Junior? That sleeping during the tournament?
It started with Junior, and of course he has had such a massive impact on the young people here, especially Robbie. I mean, you see the way that Rob fights, exactly like Sensei Junior. But of course, he would say to them, "Just go to sleep." Yeah, put your headphones in, go find a corner, go to sleep, and then you go see the Thai team, and they're all snoring their heads off. Yeah. So, okay, the Aussies bunker down with those guys and everybody sleeps.
It's actually quite relaxing.
It is.
Then by the time you wake up, you look at the number on the thing, I think it's 10 fights, so I better start warming up. We didn't have any bags to warm up on, so we sort of had to adjust a little bit there. So, but by the time you go, and then I think the first fight I watched that day was the match before I went on. Yeah. And by that time, it's too late to get nervous. Yeah. And then when you're standing on the other edge of the ring, that feeling of if you're standing on the other edge of the ring and you're looking at your opponent and you know there's nothing else you could have done, then you get. For me, that's where the confidence came from. There it is. When I stood there and I looked at this guy and I said, "Well, you know, I've prepared as much. I feel like I've been in the best hands I could have been in as far as like handling my preparation. So they've done their job. I did my job, you know, to the best of my ability. Here we go. Let's see what happens. Because now I can be confident. The worst feeling would be standing on the edge and going, geez, I wish I didn't miss so many training sessions. Yeah. I wish I didn't sort of half-ass the training sessions. I knew I didn't have that feeling, so I felt good doing that. And then the other thing is the way that we train here, you don't go to lose. Whatever that outcome is, and that mentality of going there to win is where the benefit comes from. This is what I tell my guys about the tournaments we compete in as well. You're going to get benefits from the tournament. From any tournament you fight in, you know, the benefit far outweighs the trophy. You're going to learn from the experience, you're going to get better, you're physically going to get better, mentally going to get better, okay? But if you just go in there to have a go, those benefits go away. If you prepare like you're there to win, you're there to take that whole thing, whether you win or lose, but that mentality is where the benefit's going to come from. I feel like I trained like that, and I walked into the first fight like that, and I was able to get it done in the first match, which was a shock to me. Like, even though I was there to win, but, you know, that was a real shock to me. And I was, I don't know how you feel, but you never sort of know how the match went as far as the judges go.
It's kind of funny. You either know that you're dominant because the other person's unconscious, or it's in the hands of the judges.
Yeah.
You know, and you never really know just how much bias is going to be there. And the Japanese are famous for their bias because you're in their country.
Yeah.
We respect that.
Yeah.
And we were very, very preconditioned to it because every time we go to a tournament here, they change the rules on us and you know, all these ridiculous things that they do to stack it against us. But I think I was saying this the other day, I'm grateful for that experience.
Yeah.
Because it prepared us for going to Japan and expecting that the referees were not going to go our way at all unless we finished the fights or unless it was convincing.
Yeah.
And you didn't get a knockout on that first fight, but you were convincingly strong.
I could hear the thing about the big rings in Japan, because they're fighting on a bigger ring,
Yes.
especially that raised ring. I felt like it was
10 by 10
massive,
metres, and of course it's raised off the ground.
Yeah.
You are the centre stage.
Yeah, so he was making some noises when I was hitting him, but I was like, I'm not sure if they're going to know that. And that guy, it's funny when Jordan saw, I don't think Jordan hadn't fought him. Someone else from Sri Lanka had fought this guy before. And I go, oh, what's he like? Yeah, Jordan scouts everyone.
Yeah.
He's like...
Jordan knows everyone.
He knows every
all the
fighter.
videos. He's seen everything.
It's funny with him, he knows everything about the technical side, but with the political side, he doesn't seem to be interested in whatsoever.
Yeah.
But the technical side, he knows everything. And he goes, that guy's big but small. Yeah. I'm like, okay. I don't understand that, but okay. And then I stood across from him. I'm like, yeah, he is big but small, actually. He's probably wider than he is tall, but he's quite strong. But because he was quite strong, he started to back up in the end of the fight, but towards the start he wasn't, which gave me a bit of success with the knee and stuff like that. But yeah, I still wasn't that sure. But it's a good feeling when they say, I mean, you're standing strong there. Yeah. Sifu took a photo of that. I love that photo.
There's a photo of that, and it actually became the front page of Shorin Kempo.
Yeah.
And you're not even wearing a Shorin Kempo badge.
Yeah. But that moment that Sifu captured, that will be a time that I'll remember for the rest of my life.
It's funny too that when we drill everything in the dojo, everything, no matter what it is you're doing, you finish and you stand strong.
Yeah, you stand,
Big deep breath, confidence, eyes forward, no looking up, no looking down, just straight forward, strength. And that's visualization. And by doing that, what it is, and I don't think many people quite understand it. So you learn the tool first, and then you learn why you use the tool, right? And so this is where that long game of coaching comes into it. You teach them this, and then if they hang around long enough, then they get to learn why.
Yeah.
Right? So we're at that point of why. So they've got that tool, and that becomes your visualization. At the end of that hard slog, I'm going to be standing strong. Don't worry about the fight. Don't worry about anything else. You've prepared. You've done everything. Just think of that moment of standing strong at the end and feeling confident.
Yeah.
Visualize the end. Don't think about it because it's too late.
And I think the other thing is you got to be prepared for when you're standing there. You got to be prepared for that hikiwaki, which is something that you constantly when we do. The amount of times I've heard you say hikiwaki, you're standing there like this, but in your mind you're like,
oh no.
And then it's against someone who's going to beat you up again. I'm like, it wasn't a draw. He won. Matty just beat me up. Give it to him. But you got to be prepared for that as well. Now, hikiwaki is that's something you don't want to hear. Yeah. But it's I think in that moment is that you got to be prepared to go again. And that's because for me that was like I was spent after that though. I feel like I didn't recover even before the next match. That was I don't know whether it was just a build-up of emotion and then you just have that adrenaline dump. But I was cooked by the time I went into the next fight. But I was still, and it's sort of, that's something that I think with more experience that it will take care of itself.
That's the difference too between the adult mind stepping into kumite and the child who grows into it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Because as children, it's all play. And you watch the kids in Japan or even here, or even at your dojo, whenever our students are matching each other, they're little Tassie devils. They're going crazy on each other. But then as soon as they finish, it's over and done with. And you get some of the kids who carry that emotion, which we try to teach them not to. But it's that adult mind when you come into kumite, you've got to let go of all those emotions.
You've got to be a zen-like sort of presence.
Exactly right. Yeah. And I remember 2017 World Cup, the young bloke that I fought there, because I remember they were switching my fighter, they were switching my number, because one of the other Shihans are saying, no, I don't want him to fight him. Put him against Kitajima. And Sifu was saying, no, we fought Kitajima last time. I want him to get through this round. So put it back to where it was. And this kid was, obviously afraid. And I remember getting up into that ring, and I remember thinking to myself, because I hadn't worried about it at all. There was no stress about it. There was no worry about it. Been there before, done it and everything else. But all I had in my mind was, I can't move my legs because my hips were destroyed. And I remember Sifu just saying, for 3 months, let's just punch. We're going to punch. We're going to punch. We're going to punch. That's all we're going to do. And I walked into that first exchange, came in and just went whop, up, 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 up with this massive combination. And this kid got hurt. And I thought, yes. And he threw a couple of leg kicks and everything was good. And then he kicked me right on the hip and it buckled and I stepped back. And then really that's all I remember.
Yeah.
And then crack on the head. And I remember touching the floor and then getting straight back up. And I saw all the flags here. And I went, oh, cool, no, that's all right. And then I took a step back like that. And all the flags went up. And I thought, oh, well, it is what it is, And it's a learning experience. Yeah. But we opened a door. Yeah. And you did the same thing. You weren't fighting for yourself. You were fighting for your club.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, just by being there, you achieve that to some extent, but you want to put on a good show. You want to honour your coaches, your master, by putting on the best show you can. Again, not just being there we're not there to participate. We're there to try and win this thing. That's that's how you compete. But the second one I came in and I just was stuck in the mud, and then I got hurt with leg kicks. I got kicked in the head first. Yeah. It wasn't really that much mostly toes. It was a wake-up call. Like, maybe these are better off up here. But then he pieced me up, and I know my mindset shifted during that fight, which is something that I know I can it plays on me, but I can reflect on that and say, well, here's where that went wrong.
Well, the thing is too, again, it comes down to experience, and then you look at Robbie's last fight against the world's very, very best.
Yeah. Who's Fukuchi?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, sorry, no, not Fukuchi. The Iranian.
Okay.
I can't remember. Jabari. Was Rob's second fight because he fought the Pakistani, I think it was first.
And that guy was actually really good.
He was
that he
really
fought.
good.
He wasn't Robbie good, but
He wasn't Robbie good.
Yeah.
He was 1980s good.
But he was, you know what? He was definitely belonged there.
Oh, absolutely.
And then it showed
so,
how much
so
Robbie
he was from India, Shorin Kempo. And to see that level, I guess for me it was great because I've watched a country of people, and I've been sort of closely connected to the Shihans that I've trained with, and they've come in literally with empty cups.
Yeah.
They've before they've walked into every seminar, they've emptied their cup and said, fill it up so we can take it home.
And now look at them.
And now look, you've got a country now that are inspired. The Iranians were exactly the same.
Yeah.
Iran, 10 years ago, they didn't have full contact fighters. They didn't have anybody that was really good. And now they've got an A-team which rivals the Japanese A-team.
Yeah.
The Japanese just sort of keep coming one up.
But it's good for both of them.
It's absolutely
awesome for the Japanese team.
And then you've got a 16-year-old kid from Australia, 16 years old, in an adult tournament.
Yeah.
Never happened before. 16 years old, gets into the ring and fights Jabari, who has won the All Japan, numerous Kyokushin tournaments at the very, very top of his game. As far as middleweights go, because he's a middleweight, Rob is actually a lightweight, but of course there's no lightweight division. There's only middleweight and open weight. And then Rob fights him. A 16-year-old kid from Australia, and he put it onto him in that first part of the fight. And then Jabari thought, well, I can't let this happen. So he started throwing some big techniques. Robbie went straight into survival mode at that point. He knew he wasn't going to win.
Yeah.
But he could have either chosen fear and perhaps gotten knocked out, or he chose to, I've got to learn something out of this. So I'm going to make sure those big techniques don't land. Eyes are wide open. Mind is open. Learn. And then we got to the end of that fight, and the only thing that Robbie suffered was an elevated heart rate. That was it. I think he got hit with one technique. One. There was one spinning back kick, I think, that got him. No, it was a front kick that got him and put him on his ass, straight back to his feet, but there was no Wazari awarded for it. And he got in there and he just finished that fight, and he stood proudly at the end and just went, I just fought the world champion.
Yeah, and Jabari, was it the All Japan that Jabari sort of came onto the scene?
Yes, I coached him on the day.
Yeah, you were there.
Yeah.
And that was
That
I
was
feel
a
like
pivotal moment.
for the WKO worldwide, to members who are really switched on to what's that, to watch that, you're like, what is going on in Iran?
I remember because Sifu said, look, can you coach this guy? And they just joined Shorin Kempo. Didn't even have the badge. They'd sewn a white piece of cloth over his old kanji. And because Sifu had just taken on a group of about 80 clubs or something from Iran.
Is Jabari's belt the one that his belt is white?
Oh, it is. Yeah. And he had his own team there and everything else. And then he came up to me because he knew that I'd fought in the 2016, the 2017. And he was like, oh, yeah, can you please help? I said, yeah, no worries at all. And I'm holding the pad for him thinking, this guy doesn't need any help from me.
Yeah.
But I guess all he needed was motivation and drive, which I have bucket loads of.
Yeah.
So I remember being on the side of the ring of his first fight, easily won. Second fight, easily won. Third fight, easily won. And then he fought Fukuchi.
And that one, there was a few extensions on that.
I think there were 3 extensions. And then it came down to Tamashawadi. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, to
Yeah,
Tamashawadi. And they're stacking up the tiles. And they're pulling the tiles out from under the ring, you know what I mean? And then in Japan, of course, they've got specially made tiles just for this purpose.
It's a strange
they're
shape.
like a shape like this, perfectly spaced. And they get up this stack of tiles. Fukuchi goes first. I think it was I can't remember the exact numbers. It would have been like 17 in the stack. Fukuchi's come down, like this. And Jabari turns around, he gets down to me as he's stacking up the tiles. He goes, I don't know about this. I said, why not? And he says, I've never done this before.
Yeah.
I said, well, it doesn't matter. It's just an elbow. Jump up. Don't look at the top. Look at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you try. Yeah, that's how
Don't
it
look
works.
at the top. Look at the bottom. We're breaking the bottom tile. Don't worry about the top one. We're going to break the bottom tile. And he went, us. And he got up there and he watched Fukuchi go, bam. And he went, big deep breath, straight up in the air, bam, 17 tiles, and Fukuchi's just gone, hands on the hips, look up. Oh, no.
That was probably one of the craziest battles that's happened.
Yeah, it was. So then they stack up the next set of tiles. It was 19 tiles.
Well, they did it again.
Twice. And Fukuchi's gone up. Boom! Get away the debris. 2 tiles are left. Jabari's looked at that and his stack of 19, he literally jumped through the roof and came down and he looked at me and I said, give it everything you've got. And he went straight up and he went come down with his massive big elbow, crunch. And the tiles didn't just break, they just shattered everywhere and there was nothing left. And then from there, it was the whole place erupted.
That would have been a crazy atmosphere.
It was something else. It really, really was.
It's always funny, like in the Japanese tournaments, it can be quite loud during the day just because there's so many people in the room and stuff. There's 2 things that shock you. Everyone's shoes are outside, at the door. Trying to find your shoes at the end of the day is a nightmare. The difference in the atmosphere between the rounds, the preliminary rounds, and then you get to the final, it's silent.
Oh, yes. Absolutely.
It's crazy. And
it's not like
so
it is here in
down.
Australia. I mean, here in Australia, it's almost like you're watching the boxing in a pub.
Yeah.
And everyone's just screaming.
A lot of amateur analysts.
Exactly right. And just like a lot of abusive talk.
Yeah, it's not.
And it's a completely different environment. And then you go there and everybody respects each other. Everybody, there's space for everyone to bow to each other.
Yeah.
And
they've got real stars there.
They do.
Here, I feel like at tournaments, people are there to see their own people.
Yeah.
But we don't really have those figures where people are there, or everyone's switched on to, everyone's watching what that guy's doing. Yeah, I think we're sort of missing that, and maybe it's because we don't have the unity that Japan has. Those stars don't develop here because we don't have enough. We've got,
well, the thing is
groups.
How often do you see all the champions of all the different organisations come together and fight? It never happens. There's a few secret training sessions that go on from here, from organisation to organisation, but you never get, everybody's sort of kept away from each other.
Yeah.
And it's a real shame because we recently did a trip away and sparred with another group, and we were sort of pre-warned when we got there. Oh, this guy's Australian champion. This guy's all this. This guy's that. That guy over there is this and that and this and that. So what experience have you got? Well, sort of done this and that. Oh yeah. What do you guys do? Like point fighting or something? I was like, no, it's all good. He goes, what level of sparring do you want to do? I said, well, just fight.
Yeah.
And I remember after that 2-hour session, my boys, me and their dads just sort of sat down the edge of the mats, just going, for us, it's just another day at the office. We knew exactly what, because we'd done the research. Yeah. We knew what we were walking into. We knew what our training was. We knew what they were doing. We knew what their training was. We knew their experience, but they knew nothing about us. And there was that preconception of, you guys sort of be careful where you walk. So I thought, yeah, cool, no worries at all. Respect your dojo. Yeah. We just sat down, and at the end of it all, it's like, well, do you want to come down to our place? Yeah. Yeah, no worries. I'll come down next weekend.
Then it becomes
and of course,
and I wonder, But even just that opening the door is a thing that's.
It is, yeah.
I wonder in the future if we'll be able to sort of get that going again.
I'd love to see that happening.
Because it's good for our fighters. It's good for it's the more you want to be the tide that lifts all the ships. That's it. I think it's probably possible. Maybe we create a new generation of that.
I think that's probably more to the point. It is. There are some very, very stale attitudes that are not going to change. And I guess it's up to us as that next generation, really from 4th dan and below, or even for me, for 5th dan and below, to make all of us have to make a conscious effort and say, let's make a difference now.
And sometimes that is an effort to get past. There's people. There's a big long history here of how we've got to where we are. Everyone's got to. If we're going to make it good for everyone, doesn't matter who's wronged who or something like that. You know, for the students, it's going to be about getting past those things.
Yeah.
And whether that's getting past those things with the people that are already in it, or for the next generation we work on it, something like that. It's going to be interesting, but it's, you know, that's what's going to push us forward.
Either way, it's the way I see it is, let's just for now, we just forge your own path.
Yeah.
Which is what I've done, and then you've joined that as well. Just forge your own path. If people want to come along on the journey, then great. But if they don't, hey, my door's always open.
Yeah, and it's not about, you don't have to force them to, but about, like, say, just so you know, this is open to you if you want.
And it's not about who wins or loses. How many times have I been refereeing tournaments at Cacho Terry's, the only ring with full contact karate, and all your members are there, and my members are there. Your members are beating my members, and you know, that's not what it's about. It's not about whose club is better. It's about let's all lift the game together.
Yeah.
And seeing the rise in your students, for me, has been a very, very rewarding experience, because it's like, well, you teach something to one person, that one person can make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, and then that person teaches 10 people. Those 10 people can make a difference.
That's what you sort of see now, and coming into sort of the situation we're in now, our guys have been sending us videos, especially our senior group. We don't have that big of a senior group; they're very tight knit. So we ask them for videos, and I would say 90% of them have kids that train from all age groups in the dojo. So they've got like 4 people per house that are members. And you see videos of them teaching their kids in their backyard. So a lot of them have built dojos. They've got mats down in their garage. They've got bags hanging up and stuff like that. To see them go on to teach that, it's kind of a nice thing, because like with all this stuff now, with the quarantine and sort of that, it's developed some teachers out of people who probably wouldn't have gotten that opportunity in the dojo before.
It's funny, I said this in a post the other day, was that we're spawning a new generation of martial artists, and that is the parents. So I think what I'm going to do soon is open up a new class for each program where kids and parents can come and train together. They've been doing it at home, and I know we've had the separation of age groups, it was for a very good reason, but that family element has to be catered to as well.
It's so cool to see that, to see them all working together and going through stuff, and it looks like stuff we'd do in class. It's a cool thing. I think that's going to be what we take away from this, and we sort of touched on this before about you've got 3 options now.
Yep.
If you have a dojo, if you have a system, if you have a federation, you can let this thing kill you, or if it doesn't kill you, it's going to severely injure your club. We could see clubs that have been around for 40, 50 years die from this, depending on how long it all goes for. So we can do that, and that's only through inactivity. That's the only way. If you put in the effort, there's no way that's going to happen. You got people who will put in the effort for now, just to tread water, to hope to salvage whatever they can from their club. Well, you've got the third option, which is what's happening in KC Elite right now, and we're trying to sort of do that with our Long Warrior Dojo as well, by putting this effort and laying foundations to create a whole new era in the past. So then there's all this positivity that comes from all this, chaos that's going on in the world. That's an exciting thing as far as I'm concerned. And the other thing is, while the dust settles, it's allowed everyone to sort of, and I think you sort of jumped that, you were the catalyst for that last week, with starting that goals sort of.
How big did that get? That just got massive.
Huge,
and it
makes people reflect.
It does.
For me, it certainly, in fact, after I filmed that video, I was like, okay, I mentioned the video about taking the steps every day to achieve your goals, pursuing it bit by bit. I was like, all right, so I still train every day, especially for strength conditioning, just because I like it. I was like, okay, is the strength and conditioning that I'm doing now conducive to the goals that I want to achieve, or is it just sort of wasting time? So it made me think. Since filming that video, I've totally changed the training I've been doing.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm so sore as a result of that.
I had that conversation with you, like,
Yeah.
well, what are you training
Do you want to get big and strong, or do you want to be a I'm never going to win the Arnold Classic bodybuilding. It's fine because it's not my goal anyway. I like lifting weights, and I'm sure you've been through that stage as well. It's fun to lift weights and get strong and all that, but to be a fighter, that's not the strength and conditioning you need, because you need to be strong, but you need functional strength. Not only do you need your muscles to work well, you need them to work together. But apart from strength, you need agility. So that means you can't get around weighing 110, 107 kilos. You can't do that. Because I know when I weigh 97 kilos, I don't feel as strong, but I can move around. It gives me more room to move. I don't look as good, but yes. And then you need flexibility, which is something, it's easy to neglect. It's not as fun. And you need mobility. All this stuff that, flexibility and mobility, it stops you from those injuries that pop up. I'm sure in your next escapade, that's going to be a big thing for you, is getting your body to the position where it's not breaking down again.
I think the older you get, the smarter you get as well.
Yeah.
I mean, when I was younger, it was just bang, bang, bang. Whereas now it's efficiency and timing and aligning all the moons together and getting all the green lights to line up before I leave the house.
Which is it's a balancing act.
It is. It's a huge balancing act. So, yeah. So anyway, look, it's been like, we could probably go for another 2 hours. I said that at the start, that would have been the case. But, mate, I just want to thank you so much for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
And let's do this again, for sure. Thanks so much, guys.